The only one you probably want to talk about is the fact that A&M just got waylaid this weekend.
It's not even fun to talk
We're
about
live,
it.
by the way.
Yeah, it's not even fun to talk about it because right now we're going through our own rut and we're so injury prone as Longhorns. So it's very bittersweet. But nobody loves a hate watch.
But still, nobody's gone from like preseason ranked number 1 to probably not making the playoffs quicker than A&M. They're watching softball on College Station right now. About to be like a massive Subarus going through College Station currently.
Yeah, it got tough to. I'm not invested in the softball team. I will root from afar and be like, "Yay!" when I see a W. But on I think it was Friday, Texas got beat by Florida in baseball. And then A&M beat Texas in softball like 14-0. And I was like, woof, what a day. And then Missouri put up 6 on A&M in the top of the 9th to get their first SEC win of the season. And I'm like, not a great day, but it stings a little less.
Slightly salvaged.
Do you realize, I looked it up because I was like, I wonder what the odds were on this game. If you put $100 on Missouri to sweep the series before the game started on Friday, after they won on Friday, if you'd have let it ride, after the game on Saturday, you'd have let it ride, and you could have cashed out on Sunday if they swept, you could have turned $100 into $68,000.
Dang.
Honestly, less than I thought it was going to be.
Missouri is that heavy of an underdog.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I thought you might get to like 100K at that point.
I thought it was too, but I guess the college baseball spreads, because anything can happen every day, they don't hammer the odds like other sports. But I digress, gentlemen. Let's get into it.
What's up, boys? All 3 of us here in the same spot. Let's pay the bills first. Shout out Baseballism. First things first. I'm rocking it. My wife keeps it cold in the house. So before it hits 100 degrees later this week, still got hoodie season. Mr. Dowdy has got the major league stuff going on over there. I've got Golden Spikes edition stuff. So if you're not ready for the summer already, Baseballism will get you set up from anything from swim trunks to hoodies, sweatpants, lids, you name it, they got it. So go to baseballism.com, use code PINPALS at checkout. That'll knock 15% off the order. And then shouting out again, Alps, the vice of choice, if you will. Got a funny, I think I've told you all this story, but I'll put it out there too. But over holidays, we were running around with my parents, and my mom saw the ring in my back pocket and was naturally like, "What is that?" And so the common misconception is that nicotine pouches are bad because historically everything you see is big tobacco. You got that tobacco going with it. Everybody assumes it's Copenhagen, Grizzly, Red Seal, insert carcinogen here. It's not. So, nicotine pouches too, proven. There's a lot of studies out there. Yale School of Medicine, Andrew Huberman's another one. Nicotine can slightly improve cognitive abilities, relax you a little bit. Don't believe the hype. Go get you a can of Alps and just cruise.
That's it. I mean, it's no worse for you than energy drinks are, and everybody drinks that. We all drink those every day. Now, you really want to get sent to the moon and start your day off right. Energy drink and an Alps. Holy Toledo! It's hard to have a bad day.
Hard to have a bad day there. Cup of coffee and an Alp pouch too will keep you regular too. I'll say that much. Put the Metamucil away. Just be a man.
That's it.
All right, boys. So Alp pouch too. There will be a code in the show notes. Go there. That's an affiliate link and order everything.
Everything.
One of the rare instances too to where like wintergreen doesn't disgust me. Wintergreen is smooth, not abrasive. Same with like the menthol. So
it's all you in the face. It's giving you a little tickle on the back of the arm, saying, "Hey, I'm here."
It's there. It'll battle some halitosis maybe, but past that, where it's polite. We'll say that.
Yeah.
So
I'm here. Want to get some pancakes? Just very gentle.
Some pancakes. All right. Let's get it started. So as always, stretch it out. Look at batter up.
Ooh.
Let's see what they gave us today. Okay. Woo!
They actually
Left-
show the ball in the silhouette this time.
I know.
I don't know if that makes it easier or harder.
So
Those
it's
low
a
hands.
pulled
That swing
shot.
looks very familiar.
My initial thought is like Corey Seager, but I don't think it is. I think the finish is not Corey Seager, but the follow through and everything looks a little bit like it.
I'm
The
going
hands-
for a one-hit wonder here.
Okay.
Give me Soderstrom.
Tyler Soderstrom.
Why is Tyler
Oh, walk
Soderstrom
it
a
off.
one-hit wonder?
What? No, he's
No,
saying
like-
like he wants to walk it off. He wants to call it
Oh.
Tyler Soderstrom and it be right on the first guess.
It's
Let's
also
see.
giving some Jason Hayward on the finish, but
Yeah. Ooh.
oh man,
I
not
thought you were
even
gonna do it.
close.
I was like, that's a good dark horse pick right there.
Okay, USA.
That's it.
And
It's
nothing.
not AL. We know that.
So he's NL
not
Central
first
or NL East.
or NL West. Batter up does not do it
Ah.
for the division.
I can never remember.
Who's
I'm so
the-
bad at this game?
Who's the Japanese outfielder for the Giants?
Jung Ho Lee.
I'm so again.
Could be.
We try to be delicate here. Like with the bat flips from certain sides, you're like, okay, looks like he could be Dominican. This swing, this hand placement, it looks like a Japanese player,
But it is from the USA.
but it's from the USA. That threw me for a loop there.
So I see a little bit of Hayward. I feel like Hayward's hands are more active.
And he's
I
much
thought his hands were
bigger than
higher.
this silhouette, I think.
He's much what?
Bigger than this
Is
silhouette.
this Yastrzemski?
I don't think so, but he's definitely changed his swing since I last saw it up
Okay.
close.
I just remember he was very. I mean, he's very closed off, and this swing is like I would categorize it as stiff almost. Like it's
Yes.
stays
Should we
through
try
the zone
Hayward?
a long-
Dude, it's
I'd throw
lightning
Hayward.
quick bat speed. Holy
Yeah.
goodness.
I would say let's go Hayward because that'll at least give us NL Central or not.
Bam!
Oh, wow.
Wow, gentlemen.
It was giving Hayward.
It was giving Hayward, and we got Hayward.
Who's this
Okay,
off
so
of
the-
Dollander? Tough.
What a
Yeah,
tough.
The arm shields it a little bit. The hands, I feel like there's typically more of a bobbing motion, kind of.
Yeah, you can't really
as a
tell with
set.
the silhouette.
God, that is a free and easy 97 from Dollander there, but just in the worst possible location.
I'm pretty sure he like leads the league in homers since he's been in the big leagues.
That's a
Like
tough
homers
look.
giving up. Yeah, it's not looking great for him. The stuff is
At
firm.
least he's playing for a team where he's got run support.
At least he's playing for a team that he has opportunity. I guess. We'll go with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Maybe he's not with the bigs in the other team, other organizations.
Jokes on me. I traded. I went for it in one of my fantasy leagues this year and traded Dolander and Aiden Miller for Garrett Cole.
Woo!
Yeah,
I
not
mean,
worked out that well.
Ouch.
yeah, you're not getting the bad side of Dollander, so that's good.
No.
It's true. I'm not getting anything out of Cole though.
Yeah, well, maybe next year.
Well,
All right.
let's do a pickle. The last pickle I participated in, me and Mr. Dowdy didn't get it.
Oh, good lord, was that
I
difficult.
vaguely remember this.
That was tough. That's a tough look. So I'm coming for redemption.
Okay, in our defense, that's rare though.
That's very rare. It's the first time it's ever happened.
I feel like we've had one-shot kills. We typically process of elimination, as long as it's not something like the Giants or the Rockies,
Yeah.
like the White Sox in this case. So somebody start us off.
Give me Jung Ho Lee.
Okay.
I don't know why I got him in the mind right now.
Because he's having an electric season.
All right. NL West.
And he's Korean too. You're an idiot, Travis.
No.
NL West right thrower. Ooh, so we're staying in the NL West. That's not my strong division. Dowdy,
And
your
so-
your pods are in the NL West.
Yep,
so
yep.
We
Yes,
need,
they
we
are.
Need, we need you here. We're not guessing any Angels players, so we're in the clear this time.
Yeah, what worries
right,
me
that's
is that 26 didn't get even remotely close. So we're looking way old or way young.
Yeah.
Let's go Brenton Doyle.
Ooh.
Is he listed? Oh, never mind. He's listed as center fielder. And he's
26.
26.
And he's 26.
Why did I think he was younger than that?
Wow.
Okay. Righty.
Chris Bryant.
Oh God.
That would be hilarious. We
Let's
know he's
try
not.
it just
We
to
know he's
see.
not Colorado, but
Okay, it's not Colorado. We have a shot.
So we're
Okay, and he's
close
old.
at 33. So we got the age. See, we helped
there we
here.
go. Hum, babe.
Chris
Okay.
Bryant did something. It's the best thing he's done all season.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well,
Something about killing the nerves in your back seems like it's not going to age well there.
No, that
That,
doesn't strike me as strategic.
Or signing with Colorado.
I really hope that's not the end of a career for him, but it doesn't sound good. I'll say that.
You're saying Glass now? That's a good guess.
It was a
That
good
is-
guess, but it's got to be right. He's left, which
And he's not
Is he?
American. Not American.
Is he Canadian?
touche.
Hmm.
No, Glass now is American. This player is not.
Oh,
or
no.
oh,
Going
you're
for
right.
what about Teoscar Hernandez? No, not a right fielder. Or he may be listed as a left.
Let's try that. Let's see what he's listed as before we throw it in.
No,
Now
he's
he's listed as a
right.
right.
Arizona. How about Lorda?
Too old or too young, I think.
Eugenio Suarez.
Ooh.
Right, older
work.
in age.
Could work.
Oh, he's 33 though. That we already guessed 30. Chris Bryant's 33.
Oh,
and it was
33.
similar.
It's not
Yeah.
there.
See, this is where me and Dowdy. This is like we were right on it, but we just kept throwing in these guesses and not like, okay, it's not 33.
Who's the catcher for the Padres right now? Not
Martin
Campusano,
Maldonado.
Not Maldonado. Diaz from whatchamacallit. He was with the Rockies before him.
Elias Diaz, right?
Yeah.
Elias Diaz. 34? I mean,
Let's
that
try
may
it.
work.
And give us team at least.
Oh,
Oh, that's tough.
what
Okay.
a dry hump.
So San Diego. San Diego.
San Diego.
San Diego, not a catcher,
And he's right.
and he's right. Woof.
Oh, Manny.
Manny Machado.
Okay.
Oh, he's from the USA. It's born in the USA. He's
What?
classified as
Wow.
an American.
Okay.
Whoa!
Bold.
Learn something.
I knew he
every day.
became a U.S. citizen, but I didn't know.
Well, is it
It's
you,
not
Darvish?
Elias. It's got to be a no.
I think he's
He's
too
way
old.
too old. What?
Oh.
How old is?
Michael King. 29. Oh,
No, it's too
Ooh,
far.
no,
It's gotta be within 2
It was
years.
orange at 33, so it's got to be 31 or 35 or within that range.
He's too young, I think. Yeah.
It's not Tatis. It's not Merrill. It's not Cronenworth. It's not Arias. It's not Machado.
Let's try Nick Pivetta.
It's not
Yeah.
Diaz. Could be Pivetta.
I think it's Pavetta.
No. Okay. 32 though.
Okay.
Good
Nice.
night.
Really good guess there.
Good Lord.
Okay. Going around the diamond. Who am I missing?
Cronenworth is a switch hitter
Bogarts.
or bats left.
Bogarts
Could
is
it be-
right. I don't know if he's 32. He is 32.
Golly. Let's try it.
Other than that, we're going to have to go strictly to the pitching staff.
It's got to be Bogarts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom.
Bogarts. Yeah.
They're like the first thing he's done all season is show up on Pickle.
Actually, I kind of want to look this up now. Where are we at, Xander?
Last year was not
Zonder.
great. I hope he kind of bounces and
Zonder.
figures it out. But
Zonder, dude. Zonder.
I think he's like super average so far this year, if I remember correctly.
it's a lot of money to be average.
I know.
Yeah.
He is quite literally almost perfectly average. He has a 0.5 WAR on the year so far.
Nice. So he made one play to save one game at some point through the season.
244 with 2 bombs.
Good. Nice to see he's up in the power numbers.
It's tough.
Yeah. He's got 2
All right.
more home runs than Jacob Wilson. But I'll tell you what, that average, though. That average. I think we need to get some merch made for Clontsy that just says dead average.
Yeah. At least with Jacob Wilson, I can endorse Clontsy's batting average counts because he's at least a threat on the bases. I can get behind that. Plays good defensive shortstop.
Right.
Arias, no, I'm out. See you later.
We found out from the Astros series that he is also glass bones and paper skin. You lightly brush against a player and he's getting stretchered off.
Could not play football. Built like a football player, but he picked the right sport for sure.
Yeah, he did.
He might be built like a powder puff football player. I don't know.
All right. So we wrapped up last episode by giving everyone some homework to go watch The Clubhouse on Netflix. All three of us had finished it now. I thought very well done. It's kind of one of those things to where I assume teams are resistant to kind of let cameras into the clubhouse like that. Kind of the Hard Knocks effect too, to where it kind of messes with chemistry and there's things you don't necessarily want on camera. I thought it was very well done. Not that I didn't have respect before, but just based off what I can see, to a tremendous amount of respect for Craig Breslow, Alex Cora, John Henry, the Red Sox organization. If you can't say anything else, they're trying. I think their heads are in the right place and they're trying to put a competitive product on the field, which is more than some teams can say.
Yep.
The takeaway from it and kind of what we were saving a little bit is actually come to the news this week as well, with some other happenings. But specifically, one of the highlights from this was Jarren Duran. All-star last year, perennial superstar, probably a cornerstone of the Red Sox going forward. Easy guy to like.
Yep.
Very open in the documentary about the mental health struggles. Everything that he went through, so much so even to a point to where he was contemplating taking his own life, it sounded like, because of just the stress of being in a big market, the pressure to perform, not meeting his own expectations, just complete loss of identity, and the pressure's getting it to him. So I appreciate someone being that open, talking about that. That's something we're going to get into with you guys. Dowdy with professional experience, bouncing around, Duke playing at probably the largest collegiate athletic school in the country. You guys are going to have experience here that I won't. So we'll set it up and let you guys run with it. And then current news and things that we're also going to talk about is after the documentary came out, someone in Cleveland decided to open their mouth and pretty much tell Duran, you should have taken the shot or taken another shot, at least to end it, which I'll rip new ones. And then current events too, Lance McCullers dealt with something similar after getting blown up this past weekend. And the quick research just says these aren't isolated incidents. This has been going on for years. And it's a problem. No one should have to go through this, regardless of occupation or anything like that. So back to you guys a little bit. What have you guys experienced? Is there situations that you've dealt with where this type of thing comes into play, your DMs light up, and someone's just ripping you a new one because you had a bad day?
Dowdy, I'll let you go first.
I mean, I've talked about this before on the podcast where, yes, you will get DM'd by fans of your team, of other teams, of all teams. Luckily, I never had to deal with death threats. I was never on a team that was in a position that I was costing them playoffs or something like that. But yeah, like we talked about getting betting slips, things of that nature. I mean, you're always going to have derogatory things in your DMs. That's why I think the majority of what you hear from organizations at this point is if you're going to be active on social media, post and ghost. Don't check notifications. Don't check any of that. Where it's like, yes, you're going to have less engagement with fans, but you're also not going to see the negative side of it. That's just kind of the situation you're in at this point. Where it's like, if it's going to cause you any kind of mental stress, it's just not worth it. That being said, the teams and MLB as a whole do a tremendous job in the McCullers situation of investigating these things, of protecting families. Every team has assigned security to them, Usually it's ex-law enforcement, ex-military, something of the sort, where you do feel very secure. But yeah, for the LMJ situation, like he's become such a staple in the Houston community. It gets scary because people recognize him outside. He now has businesses in the Houston area where people might stake those out. And that is where I get to the point of like, dude, it can never get to that point where your family is now scared to go outside. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And to elaborate on that a little bit, that situation came out on Saturday, Sunday. I went to his page to kind of look and see, like, is this public? Was this done on a comment or anything? And wisely, he turned comments off for most of the recent posts. But if you go back for enough to where they weren't turned off, people had still gone to something that was months old just to talk trash.
Mhm.
Like, what are we doing? Like, understand this guy is human too. When he leaves the stadium, he's got 2 young kids. He's going home to change diapers more than likely.
Yep.
Like, the lack of respect for the humanity of players, regardless of what their occupation is or what they're paid, is appalling. I can't shake and get past this, but that's all segue into that future. Duke, what were you going to talk about with your experiences?
Well, I mean, I'm very similar to Dowdy, and I'm sure all athletes across the amateur and the professional ranks, across every sport, really, you encounter passionate fan bases. And it's such a double-edged sword because while you want to play for a place that has an organization, a university that has a passionate fan base because it drives that adrenaline that much more and they're that much more engaged, it also is a heavy downside as well because they're so passionate. Lines do frequently get crossed in a multitude of ways. I mean, in rivalry games, I had players chanting out fans chanting out my mother's name to me while I'm playing. And I mean, that's an example that I can brush off. I don't want to because I'm very defensive about my family and my loved ones. But where it crosses a line, like I got my cell phone number leaked on Craigslist by an opposing team. And I got about 400 calls over the span of 36 hours. My phone just didn't stop ringing. I wasn't able to use it. I basically just had to turn it off until like I turned it in and the university had to launch an investigation into who did it. And which of course turned up no results. But little things like that. Then there's the DMs and like, yeah, there was a stray death threat here and there for college baseball. The overarching message that I have just for sports fans in general are to remember 2 things. One, it's a game. No matter what sport it is, it's a game. It's not livelihood. And number 2, every player on that court, on that field, on that pitch, on that diamond, they are human beings too. They are not zoo animals. They're not there just for it's an entertaining sport. It's a place that a lot of people go to escape reality, to watch a sporting event or watching a sporting event. Passion is one thing. Obsession is another. And obsession can create some very dark instances and lines get crossed. And certainly the Duran situation, there is absolutely no room in any sport, certainly Major League Baseball, for using a word that he did. Absolutely not. But what he dealt with in Cleveland following that documentary, with using his most vulnerable moment and weaponizing it against him for the sake of a sport, for the sake of a game. That is absolutely horrific. And if you feel confident in doing that, shame on you. Absolute shame on you. And same thing in the Lance McCullers scenario. You're going to bring somebody's family into it and acknowledge that they're human by acknowledging that they have a family and still bring them into it. That's absolutely despicable. There's no room for it. As athletes, we face it. And like Dowdy said, it turns into you want to be engaged with a passionate fan base because when it's good, it's great. It's the most toxic relationship you'll ever have in your life. When it's good, it's great. And when it's bad, oh boy, is it dark. It can get very dark very quick. And nothing defines that relationship more than instant gratification. What have you done for me lately? And very oftentimes players' characters and integrity and overall personality and who they are, their overall being, are not factored in. It's numbers and statistics.
And no player ever shows up to the field with the intent of doing the worst job possible or being mediocre for the day. You don't think these guys are the best at what they do.
Yep.
Regardless of what organization they're on. And you feel the need to open your trap because it didn't go your way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of my quarrel with most of this too, is the mentality of fans. And I've talked about it too. This is not a flex because it's grunt work and it sucks behind the scenes. But I did memorabilia right after I got out of college as like a side hustle. So autograph shows, all that sort of stuff. You've been to a TriStar show, they set up the curtain, all the guys are behind signing a whole bunch of stuff. Who's doing something like that. And what I've seen since then in dealing with people there is the mentality of the fans that because I am a fan of this organization, I'm entitled to XYZ. A lot of times it's autographs, it's selfies, it's this player's time and attention.
Mm-hmm.
You're not entitled to anything. I don't buy a ticket to a George Strait concert expecting backstage passes just because I'm a fan and I went.
Yep.
The logic does not apply at all. It makes no sense.
No.
And so that's what we talk about too. The players are people too. No one owes you a handout. Like I remember seeing Altuve get picked on because he will not sign for adults before games. If a kid's over there, he'll typically go sign a couple for the kid because, like Duke said, this is a game. Yeah. So a lot of these guys too, I want you to sign something and then it's on eBay a couple hours later.
Yep.
Not going to fund that. And that's completely fine.
Yeah.
As a fan of a team, your mentality should be, I want to win more than anything. So if, a guy's not going to break up his pregame routine for me, go get in the zone, do what you got to do. Let's go win the ball game and everybody be happy after that. I'm not chasing autographs for that.
And ultimately, you can be frustrated at performance. We're not saying that because, I mean, I'm frustrated watching my favorite teams out there. I mean, that's part of being a fan. But again, 3 things that you can control and when you're playing a sport, and 3 things that you can control in life in an infinite world of variability: your attitude, your effort, and your response, your action taken from something. And as players, if we're lacking in one of those 3 things and fans let us know, that's something that you can control. You didn't bring it that day. That stings in a different way because they're right. But if you bring those 3 things and you come with a positive attitude, an eager, motivated attitude, you react well to adversity, like you handle adversity and try your best and commit yourself and giving that full effort, and the result's just not there. Baseball, especially, it's a game of failure. How you react to it and how you work through it is vital to your success on and off the field. And baseball, you fail way more than you do succeed. And so for players, they're beating themselves up 3, 4, 10 times harder than any fan will. But when a line gets crossed, that just makes it even more tough to bear, especially when they care.
So I guess this is where I kind of throw it back to you guys, but I've never been in the situation, and Dowdy, I assume it's probably you more than Duke, because I assume, Travis, when you're at UT, you guys end up sharing rooms when you're on the road, right? Have you guys ever been in the moment of silence after getting lit up on X day or whatever, to where it's everybody's gone, I'm sitting in my room alone and I have to just wallow in my filth in the failures of the day? How tough is that? How heavy is the silence in that scenario, to where like you start to sympathize with Jarren Duran at that point too, going 0 for 4 or 0 for 16, whatever the slump may be? But how hard of a pill is that to swallow?
Oh, you will do anything to avoid the silence. Anything.
I would say
there is a moment that stands out in my mind of this exact situation. I'll try and be vague, but there was a situation that I was brought into a game and could have got out of said situation, didn't get out of it, game ended, and that night you get back to the hotel and it's 12 o'clock where you are because you played extras. Your family's all asleep. You got nobody to talk to. You got a day game the next day, so your teammates are all trying to go to bed early so they can get a little bit of sleep before the day game, and you're just sitting there. And so me being myself is like, okay, I can't just sit in a room. Like, no TV's going to drown this out. There's nothing on my phone that's going to drown it. Like, I just need to go, like, walk around, do something, like, get my mind off of it. So I hit the streets of the city at midnight, and I'm just walking around, just something to take my mind off of it. I know guys go to a lot scarier depths than I went to that night to avoid that silence.
Yeah, that's when you start to RIP, God rest his soul, but you think about like a Tyler Skaggs situation where you self-medicate and just whatever to get some sleep and drown it out to the point where the substances involved and becomes too much. Booze, Xanax, whatever you want to, vice of choice. But
well, in that scenario right there, the failure, that dark cloud, let's just call it, for lack of a better phrase, it hurts just as bad when you succeed because it subtracts from the positivity you feel whenever you do succeed. Success and victory becomes expected, or it becomes numbing. Like, you just don't feel the negative. You don't feel anything. But then whenever you fail, it's just this dark pit that you feel like you can't get out of. All you're doing is getting your head above water when you do succeed. So if you're sitting in a world where you're not letting yourself enjoy the positives and enjoy the victories, but you're wallowing and you are feeling and intensely feeling the negatives, it makes for a very dark and lonely place that can lead to a lot of things. And most fans don't realize that this happens, but it does. And it's far more common amongst athletes in all sports than people want to realize.
Yeah, I would say, to double down on all this, is like, the higher the caliber athlete, the harder the silence hits, because you're not used to failure. It's not something you've grown accustomed to where it's like, okay, I can deal with this. Most of these guys, this is the first time they're failing in the big leagues. For Jarren Duran, he came up as a super prospect. He got moved positions, was failing on both sides of the baseball, and was in an echo chamber of, okay, I can't do this. Like, just couldn't figure out either part of baseball. That's deafening.
And is on the opposite side of the country from his family. Polar opposite. He's born and raised in Southern California, and he's playing in Boston, Massachusetts in the Northeast. Yep. You have all of that, and he's a single man, no children, like not married, no children. Family and kids add a whole nother dynamic to how lonely that can feel when you have to go back to that hotel room and you're away from all family. But if you can't even, like Dowdy said, in that situation, you can't even reach anybody by phone, you are truly isolated and truly alone. And as a teammate, you want to be there as much as you can for your teammates, and you try to. But there are a lot of times where, like, I know when I was in that situation, I didn't want to be helped. I didn't want somebody to come over and feed me anything positive because I wanted to punish myself for how I did. There's no lonelier walk than from the mound to the dugout when you just got shellacked. Whether you're in a home ballpark or in a visiting ballpark, whether it's a rivalry game at home or a rivalry game on the road, there is no lonelier place than walking back to that dugout after you are getting pulled for failing. And then having to sit in the dugout and stew on that and try not to make eye contact with people, but people are looking, and you know what's going through their minds.
And to kind of double down to what Dowdy was saying, the more high profile athlete it is, or the more successful they've been, the more limited their options become to deal with failure, as it will too. Lance McCullers, if that thing had happened on the road, he can't go walk the streets at midnight.
No,
you're on the 2017 cheating Astros. People know who you are. And the later you try to make that walk, the more inebriated people are, and you're recognized, you're asking for nothing but problems. And there is limited escape.
Who are they playing when this happened?
The Reds here.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say, if he was in Cincinnati. So I was thinking, like, for some reason, I was thinking that they were playing Detroit or in Detroit. I'm like, yeah, you don't want to walk around Detroit after midnight, regardless.
Yes.
Regardless if you're on the cheating Astros. But yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
But even Jaron Duran's case too, the documentary is out there too for people that don't watch baseball now too. You're limited on what cities you can go walking around or get out to drown the noise for any of that situations. You definitely can't do it in Boston when you fail, but where you go on the road is more limited as well.
Yep. What I think is extremely funny too, and this is more pointing towards the incident that happened in Cleveland with the fan referencing and making the comment that he should take another shot, basically take another attempt at his own life, and taking that vulnerable moment that he put out to the world on this documentary and airing it and using it as a weapon. When he did stick up for himself and say something back, he learned from his past transgression and didn't use any words that should not be used. But when he sticks up for himself, the overarching opinion across, I guess, the social media stratosphere is, well, that Duran's soft and he can't take anybody talking trash to him. And the minute a player engages and defends themselves when a line is crossed, they become soft. Or they just can't handle the chirping or the trash talking. You don't know. You don't know what that person's going through. A moment stuck out to me like a sore thumb in the Clubhouse documentary where they showed it as a highlight at the very beginning, but Cora substitutes pinch hits Wilyer Abreu for Tyler O'Neill, who was red hot at the time. And everybody's looking around like, why are you subbing out O'Neill, one of our best guys? Yeah. And he said, because it's Wilyer Abreu's grandmother is on her deathbed and she's going to die today or within the next couple days. So he's just laser focused and he's playing for her right now. And so something magical is going to happen. Divine intervention is going to occur. And he had a game winning double or a go ahead double in a clutch situation. I mean, you don't know what people are going through. So to weaponize things is just despicable.
Yeah. And I would just say to any player that's out there that happens to run across this, like, just recognize that your value is not that you're a baseball player. That's not your identity. That's not who you are. It's what you do. Like, there is so much more to life than what's happening on the field. I know it may feel like the end of the world. We've all been there. Like Duke was talking about that lonely walk after you're 0 for 4 or your 4 spot getting 1 out. Like we've had those moments, but there's more to life. Like, again, talk to your people. Don't shelter in place and get in an echo chamber of this failure, that failure, because that's just the worst place you can be.
Got to talk. You got to talk it out. Even if it's just like saying it out loud to yourself or saying it out loud to somebody else and just having a listening ear, just getting it out of your system and trying your best to move on. But I mean, I can't even imagine a 162 game MLB season where you're playing back to back. In college, we played a Tuesday night game, sometimes a Wednesday, and then you had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but you at least had 1 or 2 decompressed days a week where you could kind of shut off or you can, just flush everything that happened before and kind of mentally reset, as it were. You don't get that when you're at the highest level in the major leagues. There is no reset time because by the time you try to do that, you need to be at the ballpark in 2 hours and you haven't even gotten a wink of sleep. So, I mean, I don't envy their situation at all. And I just wish, there'd be a lot more cognizant fans of that. And we know that we're talking more so to the minority than the majority of baseball fans. Majority of baseball fans are passionate. They love their teams. They will ride and die with their teams, both positively and negatively. But, the squeaky wheel always gets the grease, as they say. So unfortunately, these horrible situations coming to light draws out a much darker or much harder discussion than, just talking about the successes and failures of a team on the diamond.
Yeah. I would say this is definitely a case too for don't get on social media. Don't have a presence.
Nope.
If you're making good money and you don't need it to begin with, you're not worried about life after baseball, just don't do it. It's not necessary. Added stress, gray hair and things, it's not worth it to an extent.
That's it.
Absolutely not. And then as a player, take joy in the little things during the day. Like, if you know you had a scuffle of an outing, like the next day when you get in the clubhouse, bring donuts, like do something to lift your spirits and other people's spirits to let them know that you're at a point of like, okay, I've flushed it. Like, let's go have some fun. Let's go play soccer before we stretch. Let's throw the football. Let's run routes. Something. so that people know you're okay, and so that you're still getting that hit of joy of like, man, I may have sucked yesterday, but we're going to turn this around somehow. And with that, like, yes, I understand that it includes like going to meet with your pitching coach and figure out what your usage is wrong, why you're not executing, blah, blah, blah. That gets monotonous.
Yep.
That gets to the point where you're just beating your head against a wall of like, okay, I know I'm not executing this pitch. I know this pitch continues to get hit out of the ballpark. You have to get to a point of like letting that go and saying, okay, we're not going to do that anymore, but I'm going to go have fun and enjoy my team while I can. Because I wish that's something I knew when I was in the position that I was in, but I was young and dumb and, thought I got to put this face on that people think that I'm just stone cold.
Yep.
No, people know who you are. People can see. And luckily I had some vets that could talk to me to a point of like, hey, like, no, like everybody has this. One of the guys was like, dude, do you not understand? I have to have a scoreless month to get my ERA under a 4.
Yep.
And so I'm sitting there laughing at him, and then lo and behold, he rattles off a scoreless month. I'm like, oh, okay, you're that good.
Yeah, manifest it. Say it. Say it out loud. And it's a pipe dream, but I mean, you manifest it out there, and it's crazier things have happened.
And to that point, like was 35 at that time, and he's got an 8 ERA in the big leagues, and he's posted multiple seasons of having a 3.
Yep.
You don't think he was in a dark place?
Oh yeah.
Name drop. Who was it?
Nah, I can't. I don't.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to throw anything at him.
Okay.
He's a guy that is still around. We'll leave it.
Yeah.
There.
I've got to guess.
For a reason though, because he probably went through these struggles as a young player and then continues to educate young players as they go through them. So again, just recognize these things and learn from how they work through the situation.
Yep.
Take levity where they take levity.
Can I just to end it on a lighter note, share with you guys I actually did this whenever I was in college. I forget where I learned it from, a strategy. I gave myself the 24-hour rule because you had to, like 24 hours to wallow in it or 24 hours to celebrate it. And it was on to the next. Like when you laced up for the next game, it was focus on that game, regardless of what happened before. And if I had a night where, by yourself in a hotel room, or you just need, or even if you have a road roommate, like you just still on that island and, put your head on the pillow, try to get some sleep, but you can't stop your mind from racing. You find yourself kind of going down that mental rabbit hole. I would get up and I'd go to the bathroom and turn the lights on. I'll look at myself in the mirror, and this is going to sound absolutely psychotic, but it worked. I'd be in the worst mood. I'd be tired, be agitated, be wallowing in my own self-pity. You look yourself in the eye in the mirror and fake laugh for 10 seconds. Because do you know what happens if you're looking yourself in the eyes, in the mirror, in your reflection, and fake laughing before that 10 seconds is up? You're going to have the thought cross your mind of how freaking stupid am I right now? How much stupid I must look doing this, and you will start actually laughing by the end of it. And I can't tell you how many times that lifted me at least to a somewhat like I can go to sleep now. I've shut off the dark thoughts enough to where I can close my eyes and go to sleep and wake up the next day and have a fresh day. It's absolutely insane. I only had to pull that out in the rarest of occasion, like blowing a potential. I didn't get save opportunities very often, but blowing a save opportunity when we were one game away from clinching a regular season title. Yikes. Going back to the hotel that night, I had to pull that one out of the bag. And, if you ever find yourself in a dark place, even today, look at yourself in the mirror and fake laugh for 10 seconds. You'll find your mood shifts drastically.
Yeah. I haven't done the fake laugh. I've done the full closed shower a couple times. That's always a fun one. Oh boy.
Can you tell we've dealt with some demons there, Mr. Clontsy?
Oh, yeah, I can. It's so comments.
We've got clothes on showers, and we have fake laughing at your reflection.
Full uni. You got jersey, belt, pants, cleats, everything. Full closed shower.
Full spikes in the shower.
And immediately you walk out of the shower, you throw what is your apparel away.
Yes.
Obviously keep the team uniform, and you reset. And there's a thing in baseball where it's like, hey, as long as the uniform's on, you can be mad at yourself. Mm-hmm. That's always the thing. You take the uniform off, you take your post-game shower, you wash it off.
Yep.
tried that. There are moments that shower doesn't wash off the stink of how bad you were.
Nope.
So you go home and you stew on it. And I'm telling you, you take one more shower and you scrub that off, you will get to a point of like, all right, I've now let it go. I can move on.
Mm-hmm.
You still may be angry the next morning, but you're to a point where it's like, okay, I know what I need to do, where I need to go, who I need to seek advice from to get through that next hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
The comments too. The Sports King agrees with Mr. Duke. That's the most insane strategy I've ever heard. But maybe the moral of the story is find something to laugh at. Put on whatever stand-up, kill Tony, whatever. Laugh at it, break up the stress a little bit, and move on. So whatever works in that scenario.
Mm-hmm. Whatever your mental routine is, know yourself, know what works for you, and live by it.
All right. To take it to, I guess, not quite a lighter note, but
are we staying with the NL East, hopefully, and that same documentary team?
We are. It's funny to me just because I'm sitting here going, what are you thinking? Let's talk about Rafael Devers for a little bit.
All
right. Add a scenario too, to where Tristan Casas goes down, is done for the season. Hope for a speedy recovery from him. And we talked about if there's anything that we learned from the documentary is he is a unique individual, but
weird cat.
But if you can hit the ball and you're good at it, and you're good with the team, so be it. But the Red Sox have a need at first base, to which Rafael Devers' response was absolutely not.
Not me. Nope. Never heard of him. Yeah. I believe the direct quote was something along the lines of, well, I've changed my position once. I'm not going to change my position again.
You changed your position from third base to DH.
Yeah, that's
you
very
didn't change your position. You just put your glove down.
Very team forward of you, Rafi.
Yeah, dude, so puzzling to hear this whole situation unravel. And I think it honestly plays in the GM's favor that this documentary is out, because you're seeing how Breslow went about roster construction and his thought process and all this. The fact that he was a player, like he has been in the big leagues. So you know how he works through these things.
Yep.
To hear the comments Rafi made, oh my, how do you not take Breslow's side? I literally can't fathom. And then the last comment Rafi makes is, oh, well, I'll perform anywhere I go.
Oh,
is that your backhanded way of saying trade me? Because that's what that feels like.
This whole situation looks like it's barreling towards a trade request. And if you're Boston, like you got to pull the trigger.
What team wants to take on this cancer at this point?
Right. And straight up, Sports King still hanging out. Thanks. Devers is going to get traded. Understand, this guy is signed through the 2034 season. There is a lot of time and money committed to this guy on the current contract. So unless the Red Sox are going to eat a big chunk of it, no one's taking this on, or you're not going to get adequate return.
And he's either going to play third base for you, which is, sorry, that's not a thumbs up.
No. He's going to play third base for you.
Yeah, not a premium third baseman, we'll say.
Yep.
We'll say defensively below average. Or he's going to be a DH, and he then would be, I believe, the 5th highest paid DH in the game currently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what team wants to take this on? He's not Yordan Alvarez.
There's two teams that would.
But there's so many questions here where it's like, are you that prideful that you're not willing to just pick up a first baseman's glove and say, hey, look, I know you're not expecting a ton from me at first base. You're not expecting Gold Glove caliber. I'll give it my best shot. If I go out there and stink at first base, so be it. Then you can bring somebody in. But right now, I mean, who's the starting first baseman right now?
Even if it was dealt with in-house and it wasn't in the press, like if it was dealt with in-house and the conversations were had in-house where he said, for the sake of the team and where we're at right now with Casas going down, if you need me to take a step and play first base and learn to play first base, I'm going to make that effort this year. But for the sake of my career, I do not want this to be my long-term position. That is a completely acceptable stance to take.
Agreed.
If that's what you want. You deal with that in-house, not in the media, behind closed doors, and you have that conversation with Breslow to where at the end of the season, wherever you're at, one of two things. If you like playing first base and you want to stay there and rotate with Casas when he comes back, great. If not, and you don't like it and you want to stick to your guns there and say, you really got two choices. I play third base or I get gone. And at that point, you can reevaluate it. But there's a way to handle everything, and he could not be handling it worse.
And
well, even in that scenario, what Duke talked about, you're at least putting forth the effort and you're making management do their job.
That's it.
Because if it doesn't work, it's suddenly on management. Okay, we've got to go do something at the deadline. Andrew Vaughn, whoever's to be had, like make a splash, Pete Alonso, whatever, somebody. It's their job to go make that happen. Yep. It's your job to try to help the team win, wherever that might be.
So,
and you can't even do that.
With Devers choosing not to try and play first base, the everyday first baseman right now is Abraham Toro. Abraham Toro is currently hitting 167. Whoa. You're telling me I could slot in Devers at 285 in that first base position and get Yoshida in the lineup consistently as a DH and help a team that's scuffling a little bit? A team that most of baseball had picked to win that division.
Yep.
And you're now putting your team in a situation that they can't win the division, essentially. Like, how selfish can you be?
Yeah, even to the point, too, we talked about Breslow and the admiration we have for him because he was a player. Breslow didn't even deal with this. He threw it to John Henry, ownership going, it's not going to do any good coming from me. You've got to try to deal with it. So Devers had a behind closed doors meeting with John Henry.
Henry flew out. He hadn't been on a team road trip in years. He flew out to have the meeting with him. And still, no dice. Like
not a willingness to try, because like you both have said, the effort is the most telling thing. If he tried and it was a just walloping disaster, you tried.
Kyle Schwarber tried. Yep. The Red Sox MO for the last 5 years has been, we're going to try.
Mm-hmm.
Dom Smith tried last year and actually performed quite well. I think what we take away from this is also Tristan Casas may not be your first baseman of the future at this point. Like, that ship may have sailed. He's consistently injured at an age where he probably shouldn't be.
Mm-mm.
Like, I get the knee injuries, kind of freak accident. You can't do a ton with that. The oblique/intercostal that was last year, there's some things you can do to mitigate that, but not a ton.
Yeah. Yep.
The bigger problem is the time in between the injuries. He's not being the guy you thought he was.
Yeah.
So you almost have to make a move now to get a first base piece that you truly believe in. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, how do we make this work?
All the while eating some of that money to make it worthwhile.
Correct. So now you're moving
lose.
You're making multiple players move out of position instead of just moving one, where it's like, it won't surprise me at all if at some point Trevor Story or Alex Bregman try to play first base, because those are the type of guys they are.
And that's right. Absolutely. That's Bregman was a top 3 overall pick for Houston and moved to third base immediately. Lifelong shortstop, would be a phenomenal Gold Glove starting shortstop in the MLB today if he moved back. Swallowed his pride, moved to third base, and was, when he got to Boston, was willing to take reps at second base, willing to move anywhere in the infield. Devers threw a temper tantrum. I was about to use a less delicate phrase there. Whenever Bregman came in and it was announced that, Rafi, you're a defensive liability at third base compared to, I don't know, the 3-time Gold Glover that we just signed at 3B. Yeah, you're not going to play third base. Then, whenever their starting first baseman goes down, hey, you want to get back in the field? We got a spot for you, hand in glove. Just move corner to corner. It's an adjustment for sure. You haven't played 3B or first base, but you got to give it a try.
Yeah.
Nope.
I will be surprised to see if maybe during the offseason, they don't try and get Wilyer Abreu to try and take some ground balls, see what the footwork looks like over there, because they do have Roman Anthony coming up, and they do have a lot of outfield talent.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Meyer and Roman Anthony waiting. Meyer, you're not putting at first base. Not happening. Roman Anthony is an outfielder, period.
And if you're a guy like Willier Abreu, you're frothing at the mouth to get that opportunity because right now a lot of your reps are coming in pinch hit spots. You're starting right now, but if you don't, that's where a lot of your reps are going to come from because the top prospects are outfielders that are going to play a better defensive outfield than you, and they're going to want big league franchises got enough invested in them. They're going to want to get reps early. So what can you do to stay in the lineup? You make a move.
Yeah, and I think the Red Sox have clearly learned from the Jarren Duran ordeal of taking a second baseman and making him a center fielder in the big leagues. We're not doing that with any of our top prospects. We're not just making them learn a new position. Now, again, Meyer moving to like a third base or second base, completely different ballgame. But taking an outfielder and making him an infielder in the middle of a season, probably not going to happen. Taking an infielder and making him an outfielder in the middle of a season, probably not going to happen. Devers learning to play first base, that shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Can we play a little hypothetical game on if the trade does happen, where those destinations could be and what that looks like?
We can. Let me get one final thought out there on it. And
Yes.
I don't know that this hasn't been done yet, but if I'm John Henry or Craig Breslow, the one ace I may try to pull out of my sleeve is to call on royalty, call David Ortiz and say, hey, we got this problem. Can you pick up the phone a little bit and have a conversation with this guy? And for all we know, that's already happened.
I would bet it has.
I would bet it has too. And the fact that there's still resistance with it, yikes. I mean, you are truly exposing yourself as not as a cancerous entity in that locker room.
Yep. All right. Hypotheticals. Go for it.
Dowdy, you're leading off.
Literally the only place I can see this possibly playing out that he gets traded to is Seattle.
Oh, that's not where I was going with it. Okay.
That's the only place I can think of it working, because they would be okay with sticking him at either third base or DH because they just need bats that badly. They have the pitching prospects to give up.
But who does Boston get as a first base placeholder then?
I think you go another route and try and flip some of your prospects for the then first baseman or something along those lines to get a rental. Like a Nathaniel Lau kind of sticks out in my mind as the rental piece you might go get. But I guess that's a thumbs up. Sure.
Yeah.
I just don't see any other team taking him on as a DH only or third baseman. Third baseman, it kills you. Like I think I know where both of you are leaning, and they need better defense in the infield than that.
Right.
Seattle's the only place that it's like, I think they are okay taking a defensive liability. They've had Eugenio Suarez play third for them in the past. I think he and Rafi are probably similar metrics defensively. I'd have to do some research on that, but they feel similar.
Yeah.
Production, you're going to get more out of Rafi. They can take on the salary, and they have pitching to give up. And pitching is a spot the Red Sox need right now.
Yeah.
The problem with it is he either has to go to a place where the attitude doesn't matter, or the attitude can be negated to where everybody else in the clubhouse will be like, that doesn't fly here.
Or the third option is that there's such a need, like Dowdy was saying, such a need for offense that you omit that you basically kind of shelf that thought because we need a bat that badly.
Hence Seattle.
Yes.
And the culture that they've built is they're going to have a good time regardless. And I think between the leadership in Julio Rodriguez, JP Crawford, Cal Raleigh, and Jorge Polanco, I think there's enough there to just calm Devers down a bit and be like, hey, this is a new situation. You're going to come in. This is your role. This is what we need you to do. You just play ball. I think that may be the turning over of a leaf that kind of makes everything okay.
Yep.
But I also don't think Seattle's going to pay a big price for it.
No.
So you might get one piece back.
Do we think that Devers has this attitude because he thinks he can get away with it, that they won't trade him?
I think he wants to be traded at this point. I think he feels betrayed being told that, hey, you're our franchise third baseman. What he seems to forget, that was the old leadership group.
Yeah.
That was not Breslau. He didn't make that deal. Just because that was the deal in place when he came in, that doesn't mean that's the deal he has to uphold.
And
he's trying to make this team win.
The only cornerstone that Devers ever was, even with the old brass, was he was an anchor offensively. He was never the anchor defensively at third base. He was never an asset at third base. He was tolerable at best.
Yep.
It's ludicrous to me. Clontsy, I'm curious to know where was your mind going? Because mine wasn't going to Seattle, but I do like that, Dowdy.
Right. I do too, and I actually like it more than my spot, but it was going to be the Dodgers just because I thought third base currently is what, Max Muncy?
Yeah.
Probably. To as much like Muncy's a good clubhouse guy, there's still decent production there, but you've got decent production or all-star caliber hitter. To where suddenly, like I think it adds a little bit of versatility maybe to the bench, a little bit of depth, maybe that if there was one weak spot, maybe that would have been there, and the money's not really a concern to them, and they have the prospects. They could have done whatever they needed to do just to get a deal done to work out in their favor. That's the easy spot.
See, I think the Dodgers are too smart for that. I don't think they're messing with team chemistry.
I was about to say they've got such a tight-knit team chemistry right now that I don't think they don't make a big move unless it I mean, they're more of a free agent buyer than a trade buyer right now, unless it's a key bullpen piece or something more niche than it is like a big name, call it sexy buy.
The one combat I have to that is somebody he's played with before. If Mookie Betts goes up to him and goes, the attitude needs to change when he gets there, I'm willing to bet that's better received and taken to heart.
I don't know if anything's going to be received at this point. I think wherever he goes, he's kind of at this point where backed into a corner. He's just growling and resisting everything now and snapping at everybody now. I don't think that there's anybody that's going to get through, anybody that's going to tell him to play first base. I think there could be somebody that tells him to DH when he gets to a place and take reps at third base. And like if he got to the Dodgers organization and say, the only reason that you come here pending a physical and pending an attitude check, and you're playing 3B along with Muncy, you're not the third baseman. You are a third baseman, and you are rotating in and out at DH as well. Maybe, but I kind of had a wild one out of left field, and it may not be completely logical, but I'm just going for a team that was a free agent heavy buyer trying to participate in signing a corner guy that has a young first baseman that, they could go. I was thinking potentially a Detroit, a team that not notoriously willing to spend. The deal would have to be that the Red Sox absorb a good amount of that deal, but for the Red Sox getting a return of like a Torkelson and maybe a bullpen piece and eating some of that money and then shipping Devers to Detroit, and Detroit being again willing to overlook the attitude or divanness, if that's a word. And there's a spot right now. There's a spot for him at 3B.
See, what the first thing that pops up into my mind in the Detroit conversation is they had a really talented third baseman hitter that actually humbled himself and went and played first base and then was a Triple Crown winner in Miggy.
Mm-hmm.
Devers is proving to be the opposite of that.
Yeah.
You're not bringing something like that in. You're bringing the opposite of that in, where the defense is going to go down the toilet. If he doesn't get his way, he's going to pout. I think AJ Hinch is way too smart to let a deal like that happen with the young core he has.
That's very true as well.
I think if you look at the current situation too, the Tigers they're not running away with the Central yet, but they're 12 games above 500. The Red Sox are 1. They're scuffling. I think they'll figure it out to an extent. They won't finish that way. But you look at the Tigers situation too, and the reality is their third base answers long term potentially is like a Jace Young, who has struggled a little bit, but I've got the answer long term. Unless he's going to DH here too, which I don't really need. I'm not going to compromise the chemistry and what we're building here for a bad attitude.
I don't think anybody will. Boston's going to have something really difficult on their hands. And honestly, I think we may see it. There's a chance we may see an unprecedented sit out or protest from Devers. I mean, it's already gotten to the point where we're in shock that he's just boycotting playing first base. in a team that desperately needs it right now. I
And
would not
he
be
is-
surprised.
He
if
is
he just
built like a first baseman. He looks the part.
It's
It's
just
Poppy
a hand,
Jr.
it's a hand in glove fit. It's such a hand in glove fit. Why? Why not try it? Is it that big of a blow to your ego? Like, are you just unwilling to learn first base? I mean, I'm sorry if Bryce Harper is a lifelong outfielder. Say, you know what? I think I can preserve some longevity in playing first base, and I'm going to learn to play first base. And he was a much better outfielder than Devers was a third baseman.
Yeah.
There's 2 trades that would make me really, really laugh.
Oh, come
I've
on.
got one that would laugh
on.
as well, but go ahead first.
I'd love to see Devers go from one Sox to another. Just give me anything if I'm the Red Sox. I don't care at this point.
If you assume the entire contract, you can give us anybody.
Give me
Anybody.
Chase Medroth back, who we just traded you. I don't care. Like, give me Boozer. I don't know, a washing machine. I don't whatever. Just to see him and Luis Robert just absolutely hate their life. Oh gosh, I'd laugh. It would make me.
Was it semi-pro that one of the guys was traded for a washing machine?
Ed Monix. We got Monix. Oh man. But yeah, the other situation that I thought would be hilarious is we talked about this ball player having back surgery earlier. Rafi Devers to the Rockies would really. You give me Rafi Devers to the Rockies and give me Victor Vodnik back in return. Bolster the back end a little bit. Guy throws 100. I bet Andrew Bailey could get the best out of Vodnik. Man,
I would. Justice would be served.
See, you're leaving out one final spot in the dump. Send him to Miami for Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah, I don't think Miami makes that trade.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
be contingent, it's a lot of money on Boston eating about half the contract and say, hey, you can have Devers for the next 9 years for $15 million a year.
I could see that.
We'll cover the other half. Give us Sandy Alcantara.
Last hypothetical, and then we can end it because I'm very curious to hear this. If you are John Henry or Craig Breslow, okay, and you're trying to shop Devers, or you're at least entertaining trades because of the cancer he's become in the locker room and unwillingness to move, and the only team that comes knocking is your largest and most historic rival.
God.
The Yankees come knocking, saying, again, we missed out on the big signing of Soto. We missed out on the big signing of Bregman because y'all got Bregman. We'll take Devers off your hands because we could use his bat in a DH or a third base spot. And whoever they're willing to give up, I don't know. Whoever Boston's able to get, I don't know. But again, the principle of the matter of the Red Sox trading a left-handed power hitting hitter to the Yankees. Do you do that? Do you entertain offers? I mean, we're far removed from the rivalry and the bad blood between those two organizations. But if you're Breslow and you're John Henry, do you entertain that? Do you at least see what's going on there?
The only thing that went through my mind through that whole thing, this is who I thought y'all were going to say the first time. And I was like, okay, in division, I can't even imagine. But the only thing that went through my mind there, can you imagine a 26-year-old Rafi Devers coming into a locker room saying, I won't play first base, and you got Paul Goldschmidt at 37 strapping up every day to lead off and play first? Yeah, talk about humility. That's why we love Goldie.
Sadly, I think that's who Boston would ask for.
Oh, yeah.
I think Boston would relish getting a Goldschmidt to come play a defense, like not quite the Gold Glove that he was, but still a very good defensive first baseman and a righty bat at Fenway Park. Yeah, I'll take that.
Putting on the mind of an owner. So if I'm Craig Breslow or John Henry or even Brian Cashman, maybe, I don't know that I'd do that. As a baseball fan, I'm sitting here going, hell yes, because that is the North and the South Civil War reignited, World War II, Germany, Axis versus Allied again. That builds that rivalry back up to
Yes.
bust and be bad blood, and I am here for it. I love it.
Manfred
I just
is
don't
just
think it'll ever happen.
Manfred's hanging upside down in his cave, just licking his chops at that deal potentially happening.
Israel and Palestine, like, let's have it.
Ooh.
I love it. But
Okay, I got a
it's-
question. Astros
ahead.
fans.
Oh,
No.
Would you rather have as your
Come on.
starting third baseman
come on.
Rafi Devers
Uh-huh.
or Isak Paredes?
Isak Paredes. And it's not close.
On what front?
On the
They're
front,
both
I'll
terrible defensively.
Can I take Dubone for 500, Alex? Can I take none of the above?
Oh, man.
You want to yeah. Long term and again for the chemistry of that locker room, Paredes by far and a mile.
Similar age, similar mobility. One vastly outperforms the other with a bat. They're both playing third base because you
One
don't have another
vastly
option.
outperforms the other with a glove.
I don't know. I think they're closer than we think.
Maybe.
It's like a defensive run saved between Rafi
There's a
Devers and
There's
Isak
a
Paredes.
difference between being a defensive liability and shutting up and not drawing attention to yourself and
Yeah,
being a
Mom.
defensive liability and waving your hand saying, "This is my position." Is it? I don't jog a lap around a track and say, "This is my track now."
but even
No.
then, to an extent, if you've got, oh man, I hate that deal. But there's a piece of me that sits there and goes, if they do that deal and it doesn't work out this year, the cancer runs its course and the locker room, they lose the locker room, they're forced to do a rebuild, which I've kind of been sitting here going, you need to explore that to begin with.
I don't hate that lineup either.
So maybe it's a
don't
means to
hate
an
that
end.
lineup. Oh, am I the problem? Am I toxic? I don't mind that lineup.
But what do you do with Paredes then?
So in that situation, are you shipping Paredes to Boston? Because I don't know if he'll move to first base.
I bet he would. I think he's already played some first base for Tampa, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still taking Isak Paredes.
Oh, come on, Fangraphs. Don't fail me now.
I'd rather at that point, I would rather shop Christian Walker and try to get an arm or get a little extra piece out of it. Get Devers and like a David Hamilton for Christian Walker and some cash or David Walker.
Yeah.
Oh no, I hate that. I'm sitting here like Duke,
I'd
I
rather
feel
see
you.
him
I'm sitting here trying to like find ways for it to work. And I just
Oh, wow. Wow.
They're very similar. Or Paredes is worse.
Isak Paredes is a better third baseman.
okay.
Woo!
They are both technically
Horrible.
negative defensive run saved.
Cool.
Devers is at -9.
Isak Paredes also hitting 262.
Hence why they brought in Bregman. Paredes last year, and I'm going off last year because it was a full season, was a -2 DRS. He's been right around the 0 to positive since, maybe not. Hang on. Okay, no, that's second base. Yeah, second base, he's terrible. Third base, he's been close to average, we'll say.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. Sweet.
Yeah,
Give me
I'll
Dubone.
take Paredes. Don't put me in that situation, please.
Oh, boy.
Send him,
very fast enough.
put him in pinstripes.
Ay,
Either
ay, ay.
either the black and white pinstripes or the navy and white pinstripes.
Or
Can-
the black and purple. I
Can-
think that's funny too. But the problem is, though, is that with that mentality, I don't want him to go anywhere that he'll really succeed.
I'd relish that. I'd love for him to go to Colorado and hit like 295 and have like 38, 40 bombs on the year for a team that may not win 40 games this year.
Have more homers than
He will have more home run. He have more home runs than his team has wins, and say, "Oh, you're having a career best year for a historically horrible team," and watch his attitude and see how overjoyed he is going to the ball field every day, even though he's losing, but because he's doing good, and cement his legacy as a selfish player.
Something tells me that he may not like Colorado either. Seems real far from the Dominican.
You don't say. Well, I mean,
more than Massachusetts.
Well, I was about to say more than Boston,
Oh, yeah.
Massachusetts.
East Coast, there's a lot of Latin. Now, do you get to Denver? There might not even be a Dominican restaurant in the state of Colorado.
A lot of hemp places and CBD places.
About to say.
That's about it.
Judging by his stature, I think his gluttonous appetite may be more than his
yeah, you can say that.
ability to inhale.
Yes, you can.
Or proclivity.
I can't say the proclivity.
SAT.
Let's just say when he follows Dowdy's strategy of bad game, late night walk around the city.
He's walking the Waffle House.
There's a destination. There's a destination on that walk.
Yeah. He's inhaling food, not another substance.
My favorite after a poor outing companion. First name room, last name service. So,
oh boy.
No more hypotheticals from me, boys. Thank you for entertaining me on that.
Yeah.
That was enough, boys.
What a chat. What a chat.
I mean, yeah, we didn't even touch on the historically bad Rockies, really, other than Duke.
Next week.
Look at it this way. I was about to say, I don't see it improving anytime soon. So
can we get a Rockies tracker going?
I need to see Rockies shirts that say rock bottom made immediately.
I mean, I believe they are on pace to have the worst run differential in history of baseball by more than 100 runs.
We love history being made.
And you play in the altitude that should allow for more fly balls and higher scoring games.
If you had to guess, what's their run differential right now?
I'm not even guessing. I'm not even guessing.
Hold on.
200.
Come on, have some fun, Duke.
You want me to just really throw something at the wall and see if it sticks?
I'll say it's early in the season. Is 120 too bold?
I was going to say 170.
What is it?
128.
Oh,
negative
nice.
128. They are 19 and a half back. On the bright side,
how many games have they played in the season?
40. 40 today. On the bright side, their last 10, they've won 2.
Played 40 games and we're 19 and a half back.
They're right on the edge. Right on the edge. The only downside is you have the Dodgers, Padres, and Giants.
Insert Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah.
Might have to go undefeated the rest of the way, but there is a chance.
What kind of might have to not have an earned run for the next month to get my ERA under 4. They did it. He did it.
What kind of profanities are you inventing if you're Chase Dolander or Charlie Condon right now?
Oh, well, Charlie Condon's a whole other situation. This young man has one home run in all of his pro ball at bats thus far. There is a little bit of a scare going on with that draft back currently.
Yeah. They had one of the, not Braden Montgomery. There was a Montgomery they drafted in the top 10 a couple of years ago. They did not.
Colson's with
That's the White Sox.
So they played 40 games, right?
Are you doing math right here?
122 games left. I'm dividing it by 5 as if you're Dolander because you're in a 5-man rotation. That's just over 24 live chickens that you sacrifice.
It ain't gonna matter,
I'm
homie.
sacrificing a live chicken for every start.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he still leads the big leagues
Don't
in
come
home
at
runs
me,
given
Tito.
up. I'm pretty sure it's not
Benny would
looking good
agree.
there.
Something's got to change, boys. Well, hour 20. What a hammer show.
And there's so much more we can talk about. It's frightening.
We need to. We'll save that for next week because there's a
Bottle
lot
it.
to unpack there.
Save it.
Hang out if you're in the comments. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you, Sports
Checking
King.
in. Yes,
Real
thanks Sports King
MVP.
for hanging out. Yeah, next week we will dive into the Rockies, that situation, and how bad that is.
And that is a Olympic high dive of
Historically bad.
Historically bad.
So, anywho, that'll do it for this week. If you're not watching baseball, you're still missing out. Football hadn't started. This is really the only game in town, and it's the best game in town.
My closing thought is this.
Okay.
Through 39 games last year, the White Sox, who were terrible,
Yes.
had 11 wins. The Rockies had 6. Can't wait. Gonna be tracking it all year. Honestly, it's the only thing keeping me from just calling it quits on the O's this season. So I'm just gonna be tracking the Rockies all year.
That's it.
Hey, Duke's boy over at Alabama, the shortstop, is destined to be a Colorado Rocky.
Oh,
the
that
number one
poor-
overall pick next
Justin
year.
LeBron, you are a Colorado Rocky.
That poor soul. I hope not. I don't subject anybody to that. Good Lord.
All right, boys. Duke, get us out of here. Sign it off. And Duke.
Thank y'all for watching. Subscribe on every platform and catch you on the flippity flip.
Bing.